Well, the Trump administration's crackdown on college campuses in the wake of pro-Palestinian protests is quickly escalating, leading to both outrage and also concern at schools nationwide. Yesterday at Northwestern University, here close at home, faculty and students held rallies as part of a larger national day of action. So protesters are calling on the university to defend students, staff, and instructors. And this comes as the Trump administration freezes $790 million in federal funds for what it calls civil rights violations. The Department of Education has launched investigations into universities where campus protests were held, calling for an end to the war in Gaza and divestment from Israel. To dive into what we're seeing on college campuses now and also what we've seen in the last couple of years is Dima Khalidi, the Executive Director of Palestine Legal, a legal aid organization. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So your organization has received an increase in requests for legal support, specifically over the last year and compared to the years prior to that. Can you tell us about that increase and specifically what type of cases and complaints that you're dealing with and you're getting requests for support for?
Absolutely. We just published a report about our 2024 findings, which show a 50% increase in the request for legal support we received last year from 2023, and an over 200%, 600% increase from 2022. So this is really a reflection of the mass movement that since October 2023 has filled the streets and campuses in opposition to Israel's actions in Gaza, the murder of over 50,000 people, the ongoing starvation of over 2 million. So this is a really moral movement that is opposed to what Israel is doing and has started to shift public opinion in the U.S. This is no longer a minority view. The majority of people in the U.S. see what Israel is doing as wrong and want to stop it and don't want the U.S. to continue to fund it and to supply the weapons that enable it, right? So what we're seeing on campus right now is that there has been an enormous backlash against this incredible student movement that is driven by the moral imperative to stop a genocide. And the crackdown that we have seen since October 2023 has led to this moment where the Trump administration is bulldozing any and all pretense of constitutional rights. And we're now seeing universities and courts stand up to this agenda to destroy not only institutions like universities, but our very fundamental constitutional rights. If anybody is worried about government intrusion in our lives, they should be worried about this. This is the Trump administration telling universities, telling law firms, telling companies what they can and can't say, who they can and can't hire, what professors and teachers can and cannot teach. And this is really undermining fundamental principles and freedoms in this country.
And Dima, I do want to just make a clarification. So the request for legal support that you've got, this influx, has to do with complaints made prior to the Trump administration, under the Biden administration. But do you anticipate getting even more requests for help now since we've seen these crackdown on universities and also students?
Absolutely. And what the report is telling us is that what happened last year and the year before has paved the way for what the Trump administration is doing now. We continue this year to receive an unprecedented level of intakes, of requests for legal support. And there is enormous fear among students, especially when we see people like Mahmoud Khalil and others who are abducted off the streets simply for advocating for Palestinian rights. So this is the situation we're in now, where there is massive fear, but also a lot of resilience. And we see that students are still out there protesting, calling for their universities to stand up to this bully, and really continuing to call for an end to this ongoing genocide, for their own rights to criticize a government that is perpetrating this genocide.
All right, Dima, we have a minute left, and I want to get to two things. So quickly, we do know that more than 1,000 international students are now in danger of deportation because the federal government revoked their visas. A lot of them didn't get a notice or an explanation. Does the federal government legally need to provide a reason or give a heads up to these students?
Well, we're seeing now that the courts are starting to push back against the Trump administration. The circuit court just said that the abduction of Abrego Garcia and the lack of due process is creating lawlessness, right? So we are, there is in this country a system of due process, and this administration has completely undermined that, including with its revocation for no reason at all of hundreds and potentially thousands of student visas. There is pushback beginning to the complete arbitrary nature of this administration's actions.
Okay, Dima, and because we ran out of time, is there a place that students and people watching can go if they need more information or support?
Absolutely. You can go to PalestineLegal.org for the report, as well as other information about the movement and how we're seeing repression unfold.
All right, Dima Khalidi, the Executive Director of Palestine Legal, thank you for joining us.
Thanks so much.